And welcome back. Joining us for our first conversation this morning, we have in studio with us Lawrence Thompson. He is the Director of Border Management and Immigration Services. He's joined by Mr. Rudolfo Bol, the IT Manager for the Ministry of Immigration, Governance and Labor. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
We're here to talk about an interesting development that we learned of yesterday, the Biometric Data Sharing Program, correct?
Yes.
And what this means for border management and the movement of people in and out of Belize. Let's start there. For the average person who may not have been following, what is BDSP and how is this beneficial to Belize?
Yeah. All right. So let me first start off with giving a little context as to what border management is and what our guys do at our ports of entry. To give numbers, we have for 2025 like 1.5 million travelers through our ports nationally, and so we have to manage that. And so technology is the best tool for us to manage migration. And during our routine process of travelers coming through our ports, there are different screening processes that occur by the immigration officer. One of them is a primary screening where they look at passports and look at different identifiers to identify the legitimacy of the travel to allow entry. Our role is to protect our borders from any persons or entity that would want to enter our country to do bad things. And so the immigration officer has a very tough job at our ports of entry to identify and filter out all those individuals within that group of travelers coming
Kind of short space of time too.
in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
So correct, we have to ensure that we have travel facilitation as well, so we don't disrupt individuals from traveling. And so we do primary screening, and then we also do secondary screening. And so the secondary screening is where there are risk indicators that have been identified by travelers, and then those travelers are then set off for secondary screening to identify more in-depth purpose of travel. So the BDSP is a platform that will accelerate that secondary inspection and verification process. It will verify against travel documents that might be fraudulent, history or antecedents of travelers, if there are any history of sex offenders or terrorist activities or any transnational criminal background of individuals, which is one of our key roles at our ports of entry, to identify these individuals, to protect our borders, to contribute to the national security agenda of Belize, along with our other national partners. So BDSP is technology that will now provide the immigration department with the added capability to run these travelers through a system and give us feedback as to the history of these travelers, so we can make a more informed and security-based as well as intelligence-led investigation decision on their entry.
This is a partnership with the United States government, with the U.S. Embassy. There was the launch of the BDSP and the equipment yesterday. Talk to us about that partnership and what it means to be able to share biometric data between Belize and the United States.
Yes. So we cannot manage our borders by ourselves. Nationally, with all our highly skilled domestic law enforcement, there's also a need for partner within our region and internationally in order for us to extend our reach beyond our borders of Belize, so we can intercept travelers or nefarious actors before they even arrive at our country. And so partnering with the US with this, and they were providing this capability, strengthens that partnership and also strengthens our border control and border security apparatus. The BDSP will not scan Belizeans.
Yes, I
All
heard
right?
that last night.
So it's for international travelers who come through our ports of entry, and there are some risk indicators that are identified by our officers. And these individuals will then be secondary and processed through the BDSP. BDSP is also not linked to our MIGL system. It's an independent system that houses that data. And so that data is then shared once an individual is, the biometrics are entered, that is shared with the US, and that is also kept for us for statistics. So we can perform our risk assessment or data analytics to identify patterns and trends of travelers not only coming to Belize, but also travelers who have been identified as high risk that travel within the region. So it also provides for Belize immigration and Belize national security apparatus to have a more coordinated regional security approach in identifying individuals that might have nefarious intent.
I'm always fascinated, and you alluded to it earlier, Lawrence, about the pace that is happening to ensure that there's not disruption of traveling, persons getting to their flights, but there's still these intense checks that are taken or that are done to ensure that persons aren't entering the country illegally using false documents, aren't doing things wrong on their trips as well. I'm always curious about what that check or what are the signals or the signs that you look for, especially now that we have this piece of technology that would lead you to say, okay, Isani, an international traveler, we need to pass him through this piece of technology now. He has some red flags. What are those red flags that you look for?
Well, there are several of them. We look at the book, passport.
Okay.
Right? So you need to have a legitimate travel document to enter Belize and any other country. And so any indication on these travel documents of being fraudulent, meaning they have been manipulated in some way or another by the immigration officer, that is a red flag.
Okay.
So the story of the individual coming in, what's their story? What's the purpose of your visit? So the question of purpose of visit is not just an inquisitive immigration officer wanting to know the business
Not
of the
just
traveler.
them being friendly.
Right? It's about seeking information from the traveler to get a feel and an understanding of your purpose. And your purpose has to match with several other indicators. One of them being the book, the travel, the passport. And so those are a few which clearly we don't want to disclose
Too much.
the entire indicator list of what we are looking for in travelers. There's also an interview process that happens. And so the answers to certain questions that the immigration officers ask, and immigrations have been trained. And with this BDSP, there'll be additional training to equip our officers to enhance their interviewing capabilities, their capabilities to be able to decipher between legitimate travelers and those who are here for other purpose, for human trafficking or human smuggling or sex offenders, or these individuals that we really don't want in our country.
Let's get Mr. Bol in on the conversation at this point. From an IT perspective, how does this work from your point of view?
Well, what you have to understand is this is not our first international watch list that we connect to. We've been connecting to Interpol for many years, and that's an international watch list.
Yeah.
So this is now more on a person watch list, basically. Because what we're doing right now is taking your biometrics and searching you based on your face, iris, or fingerprints. So regardless of the name that you had registered before, now we can identify you. Because that's the limitations what we have experienced of late, that we search by individuals' names, but then we don't know, have you changed your name?
Yeah.
Who are you now? So now this BDSP, this allows us to do that now, to identify you with multiple names, multiple changes of that you've done over the years. So this is one of the beautiful things about this system now.
So in essence, you could go through as many name changes as you want, right? The
Yes.
fingerprints, the iris, and some other biometric
Yes.
information never changes,
doesn't
right?
Our changes.
doesn't
And
change.
that's where
Yes.
PDSP has its power.
Yeah.
We are looking at the biometrics of the individual now. And like I said, we do Interpol, and that's names of persons and documents. But now we're looking at what have you done previously based on your biometrics.
Yeah.
So in terms of technology, it enhances us in terms of be able to put one name or one person to many names. And also we have to realize that we are not doing Belizeans on it, but Belizeans are already accustomed to biometrics, because when you apply for passport, that's what we are doing. We are taking your biometrics for the same reason. In case you want to apply for next passport with a different name, we can capture that as well. So it's just enhancing our infrastructure in the back end, basically.
Well, this is always exciting, I think, because sometimes I feel like we play catch up a little bit with what's taking place internationally. But still, you know, there's still that question that people would generally have where data collection is concerned. How do you assure the public that their biometric data is secured?
Well, for the same reason, all these systems are not public. These are private networks, and we try to keep that as much as possible. Right now we are on a 2 weeks training with the US counterparts. And we are going through this rigorous training on keeping the system safe, keeping it separate from our MIGL system. And even our MIGL system is not exposed to the internet neither. So we try to keep all of those as private as possible. Okay, so that's one of the big things that we do take pride on, user security and user information security. And we do it with the same thing with our passport as well. Everything is private, nothing is on the internet, nothing is exposed, basically.
So where can we expect this new update in terms of entry points in the country?
Well, we are looking at all the ports of entry at this time.
Yeah, the major ports, western border, northern border, PGIA. We have at the main office in Belmopan. We have one in Belize City as well.
Punta Gorda.
And in Punta Gorda.
Has there been an instance where biometric data has been used to capture perhaps a fugitive, or, as you've mentioned, some nefarious character in Belize or what have you?
Well,
can you think of any?
We've always been working, even without BDSP, we've been doing secondary screening and using a longer route for secondary verification with our partners. And so we have had instances. We've identified as early as October an individual arriving at our PGIE with a fraudulent passport, an imposter passport, using the passport to try to make entry. And he was intercepted based on the officer's interview and their key sense of awareness of the individual nationality and his route of travel. And so we have been identifying individuals in the past. What this BDSP will do now is it will enhance that and make it more quicker for us to do our verification. And we have the tool now in our offices, and so the verification process will be a lot more fluid and a lot more effective and efficient in getting the results.
What is interesting for me in all of this is the fact that you guys, in a sense, have to be at least a step or two ahead of the criminals, because when you think of forgery, as when people enter or attempt to enter with a false passport, it's because whoever forged that passport would have probably gone to great lengths to get it to as spot on as it is to the naked eye or what have you, right? So you guys need to be at least a step or two ahead to be able to intercept that. What has that been like in terms of being able to keep up with this kind of activity?
Yeah, border enforcement should not be reactionary. We should always try to be proactive. I tell my team that when we gather for our meetings and all that, the bad guys are also gathering in meetings. They're also figuring a way as to how to circumvent border security. And so our role is to now be proactive. BDSP is one of those proactive activities. And also partnering with agencies, enhancing collaboration, coordination, and communication with our national partners, as well as our regional and international. Mr. Bol mentioned Interpol. And so we have that capability within our MIGL system to receive alerts from Interpol. And so we use this. It's not an easy task, and it's a daily occurrence of travelers coming through, and the officers need to be alert. They need to be recognized that we have among those legitimate travelers, and the majority of travelers are legitimate. There's this small bunch who wants to infiltrate into our border controls and our border security for them to do bad things. And these are the people that we need to find.
Based on a question that I believe Isani had asked earlier, I want to ask if there's any type of database that you guys would have collected in terms of individuals who would have tried to enter the country illegally using false documents or any type of forgery. Do we have any data on that, what that looked like last year?
Yes, actually we had our conference or meeting last week,
Last week.
where all our port commanders and senior management got together and we discussed our challenges, we discussed our accomplishments for 2025, we looked at all our data, and we are finishing up that data collation, and then from there we use that to do analysis to identify patterns and trends of what happened last year, the year before. Actually in 2023 the data for national travel was I think 1.6, 2024 was 1.7, and 2025 was 1.9 million travelers coming through our ports. So we see the trajectory of increased travel.
Yeah.
And so that then signals that border controls also need to be similarly increasing in equipment, in training, in situational awareness.
Yeah.
And so we take those data to analyze our environment and see how we can better posture ourselves.
What were some of the big challenges coming out of last year where border security is concerned?
Well, one of the big challenges is technology, you know, the limited access to technology. And so we find that we have our MIDA system and there is a need for enhancement of that MIDA system, which is what we are already doing.
Yeah.
Mr. Bol and his team, and maybe you can touch on the increase.
Besides of this BDSP, the next one is how do we incorporate our biometrics on our main line? But the first thing we have to do is how do we improve what we have already? So starting last year, December, we started upgrading all of our systems at the borders, computers. Then the next step will be now biometrics. We should be completing the upgrade of servers by next month, if anything, which then we will start the plan now. How do we do biometrics there? So it's constant improvement, constant development. We have had our MIDA since 2013, and we have had quite of experience now how to deal with the influx of travelers. So we have data, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
Now the thing that we have left to do is now analyze it and present it.
Yeah.
Because that's the next thing that we know that we lack, presentation of this data to the public.
Yeah.
And this is where we are working on. Hopefully this year we can start to publish data. We have started a small statistician unit within immigration. So they are responsible to collect, analyze it, and present it. Okay, so hopefully we will have a next conversation on that as well.
Certainly. Certainly.
All right. Well, gentlemen, as we wind down this conversation, I know this is great news for us here in Belize to see that we're able to expand on our technology, especially where border protection is concerned. As we wrap up, do you have any further updates that we can expect coming out of the work that you guys are doing?
Well, in tandem with the MIDAS and the BDSP, there are capacity building that we're providing to our officers. It's not just putting the equipment out there. We appreciate that equipment are good, but also building that capacity and continuity to ensure that we have continuous training in border security, border control, risk management, and have our officers equipped for whatever it is come to our borders. And then we hold our officers accountable as well to ensure that they apply what is learned and use the technology in a manner that upholds and upholds the integrity of the system. And so that is also what we're doing.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us, sharing this update with us and with you guys by extension. We really appreciate it, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.